This is PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Mannarino.
Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Daily, PIX on Politics Daily. I'm Dan Mannarino. So obviously we're paying close attention to the mayor's race each and every step of the way, right? So stay tuned for PIX on Politics this Friday. I'll be talking to Jim Walden, independent nominee. Is he going to stay in the race? Is he not? We'll find out with what's going on there. But let's talk about some other big things that are happening right now in real time with the current administration, the city council, so on and so forth, right? City of Yes, you've heard a lot about this, right? And some efforts to bring back a lot more affordable housing in general. And so you hear each of the candidates talking about their plans to bring up housing and affordable housing, so on and so forth. But there is something happening right now, this plan to rezone Midtown South, and it's nearing council approval. That's happening sometime in August. And a lot went into this. The mayor, Eric Adams, has been talking about this for years now through his first term. Let me bring in the director of New York City Planning, Dan Garodnick, who knows all the inner workings of this. Dan, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
So this specific area of Midtown South, right? This is an area, of 23rd Street to 40th Street, 5th and 8th Avenues. It's a huge area. And when you think about it, a lot of that area isn't necessarily residential. A lot of it's businesses. And a lot of those businesses vacated during the pandemic and never came back. So why did you zero in on that area? And how are you going to get to a number of 10,000 homes in that area?
Well, the reason we focused on this area was that we have 4 quadrants right in the heart of Midtown South that are zoned for manufacturing only. So if you wanted to do a ground up residential building, or if you wanted to convert a vacant office building to housing, you could not today. And if you think about it, it's kind of unfathomable that in an area this central and with a housing shortage this dire, that if you wanted to create housing here, you could not. So that is why we focused our attention on Midtown South. It's a great centrally located area, great access to jobs and transit. It's exactly where we should be building housing. But as you pointed out, come out of the pandemic, you have high vacancy rates in commercial office buildings.
Let me break this down because there's just 7,000 businesses in that area, 135,000 jobs. Now you're referencing how this was like a big garment area, right? So what happens to those businesses that are there that are saying, well, what about us? Are we going to be able to survive this? Are we going to be kicked out of this area now? The garment district is still a thing.
Yes. Well, the garment district is a piece of this broader neighborhood plan. So I was mentioning those 4 quadrants. The garment district is a subset of one of the 4. So much more broadly, we have manufacturing districts today under zoning, which don't allow housing. And yes, you're correct to say there are businesses here. There are jobs here. We want them to continue to succeed and grow. We believe that by opening the door to allowing for a mixed use environment, we're going to be able to add foot traffic. We're going to be able to add life to this neighborhood, make it a 24/7 experience, which will help businesses. And businesses will be able to stay. They will be able to succeed into the future. There's nothing about the zoning proposals that we're making that would push them out. It is an opportunity, but we do need to create the opportunity for housing in the process. It just does not make sense that you couldn't do it here.
So a couple questions here. First, let me get to that 10,000 number. Out of that 10,000, how many of those homes would be affordable?
It would be about 20 to 30% of the total. We estimate 2,900 would be affordable through our mandatory inclusionary housing program. This is important here because we have not mapped our mandatory program in Midtown Manhattan before. So not only is there no requirement for, no opportunity for housing, there's no requirement for affordable housing today. So we want to make sure that we have included that in the process. So we estimate 2,900 of the 10,000 would be permanently income restricted affordable housing.
Okay, that's good. And so and then what are you doing? Are you building new structures, or are you taking some of these existing large scale buildings and just transforming them? We actually have one right across from our station here on 42nd and 2nd that's being transformed. It was the former Pfizer building being transformed now into housing. Is that what you're looking at doing, or is some of it kind of being built at the same time?
Pfizer building's a great example of one of those office to residential conversions, which are happening much more as a result of the tools that we just passed in City of Yes for Housing Opportunity, partnered with a great tax incentive from the state of New York. So in answer to your question, yes and yes. This will enable office to residential conversions in existing buildings, which is great. It also will allow for ground up residential in this area. So we expect to see both, and each of them is an important piece of the puzzle here.
Now, I used to live in Hell's Kitchen, and I don't know if it's still a thing. I'm just going to throw this out there because I really don't know. But air rights were a thing. Some of these buildings, these tenement houses, they couldn't be knocked down, or you couldn't build on top of them because of these air right things, right? And so it prevented a lot of housing from being built because of these rules and regulations that were in place. So a lot of these buildings within that area are still like 6 to 10 stories. Is there a workaround against that? Can they be built higher now?
The whole notion here is to create opportunities by using the tools that we have just enabled through City of Yes for Housing Opportunity, the tools that the state gave us to move above 12 as a development floor area ratio in New York City to allow for high density residential. So you could see a building there that's 6 stories today, zoned entirely for manufacturing uses, which now will be able to convert to housing or could be a brand new residential building. So the short answer to your question is yes, it's creating opportunities. We want to see new life here. We want to see new opportunities, and that's what this plan is about.
There's a couple of things on the timeline now, right? So we have to wait for the city council to approve it, but it's expected to pass, correct? I mean, you have Mark
my
Levine
hope and
supporting
expectation, is that it will pass. The borough president has been a leader on this. The 2 council members, Councilmember Botcher, Councilmember Powers, have been great advocates for this and great advocates for housing generally, all 3 of them. So we are working very hard to get it done, but we feel like we've got a tremendous partnership with the 3 of them.
So that's the timeline is it goes to a full city council vote sometime in August. Then what's the timeline to actually see a conversion take place, right? So are we talking a year, 5 years, 10 years? What's the plan?
Well, once the city council approves it, if the city council approves it, the rules go into effect immediately.
Okay.
So then a building owner would be able to reflect on their current condition and think about what these opportunities might mean for them. So in answer to your question about how soon things can come online, well, we are seeing, you cited the Pfizer building, there are other office conversions that are already happening in New York City. You know, they surely take a couple of years to do the internal work to be able to repurpose the building, but there is a lot of interest to make this happen. And it's clear that people who own property in this area are saying, oh, this is an interesting opportunity here. I wonder what this might mean for me. And they're thinking about the opportunities that are being presented if it in fact passes the council.
And financing for this, where do you get the money?
Well, each individual building owner is going to make their own calculus on their access to capital, the interest rate environment that we are in, their appetite for risk, the tax incentive that's been provided by the state of New York at 485X, and what it means, and also importantly, the work that's needed in an individual building to either convert or to demolish a building to build a new residential building. All of this is an individual building by building calculus. But the tools that we have for the city and state are 1, make the zoning right. That's what this is about. 2, state of New York has created a tax incentive in 485X to incentivize the creation of new housing. We expect that buildings in this area, particularly with our requirements for mandatory affordable housing, will use that tax incentive. Those are the tools that we have. And then beyond that, the building owners are going to do what they do best, which is find the opportunity, find financing, and we hope that they are successful in that.
Yeah, and the reason I ask about timeline is because a conversion of a building is not an easy task. I mean, we were talking about the Pfizer building, for example, and I remember talking to some folks back when it was a proposal about the fact that you just have to think about so many things that go into converting an office into an actual unit for somebody to live in.
It's very complicated. It's very complicated. It's very complicated. You have to have light. You have to have air. You have to have specific rules for housing that are different from a commercial building. But I interrupted you.
No, and just plumbing, bathrooms and so on and so forth. And so that's why I'm asking about time. But for a New Yorker who's like, okay, every administration talks about affordable housing. Everybody talks about how they're going to get it done. And then they always say, well, I didn't see it in certain administrations come to fruition, right? So just for realistic sake, somebody's saying, okay, well, now they got it approved, or they're about to get it approved. And before I see a unit, it's going to be a number of years. So, and that's just this project, correct?
Yes, that's right. You don't wave a magic wand by approving something through zoning and instantly it exists. We need people to actually look at those rules and say, this makes sense for me and for my building. But yes, you are correct to say that these things, even when enabled, take a bit of time to actually be delivered.
Yeah, and then affordable housing means something different to so many different people, right? So how do you kind of look at this and say, okay, what is it going to be? Is it something that's through your salary? Is it something that goes through, I'm drawing a blank here, on the rent guidelines board, so it's a rent stabilized unit?
Well, the way our rules work for mandatory inclusionary housing is it is defined by the income levels that you earn. And the city council will be the final decider as to what those income levels are and which option for mandatory affordability is used in Midtown South. And then ultimately, it will be affordable housing forever. This is not the sort of thing that burns off over time. This is baked into zoning. And importantly, as to your very important question about how to evaluate the success of a housing program, when things are delivered, what is enabled, we feel like we have done an incredible amount in this administration to deliver new opportunities. The City of Yes initiative, 82,000 units of housing. Our neighborhood plans, Bronx Metro North, near new train stations that are coming for Metro North in the East Bronx, Atlantic Avenue, Brooklyn. If we are so lucky here, Midtown South, and Jamaica and Long Island City, Queens, both to come. We have really enabled an extraordinary amount of housing. That single action, City of Yes for housing opportunity at 82,000 units, was in a single action more units than were delivered in all of the years of Mayor Bloomberg, and double the number of units that were enabled during the years of Mayor de Blasio. So, and we're building on that with these neighborhood plans. So we have to enable the things to happen. Then, of course, we hope that people take advantage of the new rules that we are providing.
And just a last question here, Dan, is it just one big construction zone for however long you do it? Because it's a pretty big area, or is it kind of a layered approach so you don't create this big construction zone in the smack in the middle of Manhattan?
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, and it's important for people to remember that when you create the opportunities, there's individual decisions that are being made in a very wide geography. So no, I do not expect that all of a sudden Midtown South becomes a universal construction zone. But I do expect that there will be activity happening here and there, and it will likely, just through its own natural forces, be staggered in a way that will not make this an overwhelming experience for people who live and work in the area. And of course, the end result, we hope, will be a vibrant experience, more foot traffic, more excitement, more opportunities for businesses to locate there, and of course, a great opportunity for current and future New Yorkers to live in such an important and central part of the city.
Really good. Yeah, New Yorkers want things done in a New York minute, Dan. Not everything's always possible.
I know it. Listen, if I had that magic wand, I would use it. I promise. But we got the tools we got, and we're excited to put them into place.
All right, New York City Planning Director Dan Garodnick, good to see you. We'll keep you on the lookout for that vote in August. But thank you very much for coming on to talk about it.
Good to see you. Thanks.
All right. And we will be staying on top of that story every step of the way, because it's just one small facet of a larger housing issue that we're covering each and every single day. But that'll do it for Pop Daily, everybody. I'm Dan Mannarino. We'll see you back here tomorrow.